Should I buy? That for me is a loaded question. My own turf, my very own. What would I do with it? It would change my life. I don't know if I could handle it. I'd have to look after it, protect it, maybe even write it into my will. I'd become independent, have a new status with my friends, have a new self-image. Garth, get a hold of yourself. You're not there yet. You'd be better off settling your self-identity first without depending on the things you own to make you look good. Flattery does seem profound when you're getting it. I guess most of us hear what we want to hear and mistake it for the real thing. We'll be back to watch a man try to get as much property as he possibly can. What would I do if I had a chance to own as much land as I could walk around in one day? How much would I try to get? Here's what one man did.
The traveler was looking for property. On the far side of the lake, there was lots of it. The owner, for some unknown reason, was giving it away. The fisherman promised to return the next day after the business was completed. They waited for sunrise. It was like a game, with the landowner dictating the rules. The traveler agreed to an unusual pact. From sunrise to sunset, whatever land he could circle would be his. There was only one condition. Should the traveler not return by sunset, he would lose the deal and gain nothing. I've nothing to lose, he thought. Merely walk around the land and it's mine. He followed the landowner's instructions. Dig a small hole, drive in a wooden marker with a scarlet ribbon, and the land is all yours. It seemed too good to be true. Free land. By noon, he was tired. The traveler had encircled a sizable territory. He had as much as he needed. Enough for a farm, lots of pasture, a fine view. Best of all, it would cost him nothing. No cost? Of course, that's the agreement. Whatever land I can cover in one day is mine. I'd be a fool to stop here. There's more, so much more, and it's mine. The circle around his land was becoming larger and larger. A small price to pay. I must have these woods. I still have time. This is where I'll build my house. My house, my property, my trees. I can't take much more of this. I'm a fool. They laugh at me. All mine. I haven't lost yet. As agreed, the traveler returned before sunset. The traveler had, after all, gained some land for himself. 6 feet from his head to his heels was all he needed.
That film clip was based on a story by Tolstoy, the Russian writer. I'll be back with more of the third story after this. How should we make decisions? Should we think only of ourselves when we make them, or should we take others into consideration? If our own good is the main or even only motive for making the choices we do, we end up doing things that are very selfish and self-centered. And then there's the bigger question: how does God fit into all of this? Does he care like he says in the Bible that he does? Sometimes we act as though he's not even around, when in fact, he could give the wisest input of all into how we choose.
So I'm sitting in this plane one night, flying into Vancouver, staring at the stars over the wingtip. The plane jolts. What was that, I say to myself. Oh, nothing. Happens all the time when you fly. I stare at the stars again, and a troubled thought rises within me. Does this plane have a pilot? Of course it does. How could a plane take off without a pilot? Planes are big and heavy. They're complicated. They have to have a pilot. But what if it happened just this once? Maybe we're on automatic pilot or something. The plane bumps again. If anything goes wrong, I want to have a pilot up here, I say. My neighbor gives me a suspicious look. What are you saying, he asks. I say, does this plane have a pilot? He says, of course it does. How do you think we got up here? But how can you be so sure? He thinks a moment. And then he says, look, buddy, I'll show you. And he goes to the front of the plane, to the door of the cockpit. It's locked. He comes back and sits down again. I look out the window, and I have the feeling my neighbor's having trouble getting back into his reading. It's ridiculous. Now both of us are wondering. We can't hold back our thoughts. Neither of us have seen the pilot. A woman across the aisle puts down her crossword. Who cares whether or not there's a pilot up there? All I want is to get to Vancouver. And she goes back to her crossword. I start to think about my wife and kids. If it's true that this plane doesn't have a pilot, I may never see them again. The work I did last year, making my patio deck, will all go to waste. What a ridiculous way to go. And my investments. All my life I've worked making money. And now that I want to spend it, have some fun with it, I can't. Crashed in a pilotless plane. Oh, why did I ever come up here? I've never felt so lonely. People all around, but I don't want to see them. All I want is to see that there's a pilot up there. And there's those bumps again. I wish they'd quit. Hey, what's this? Little blue lights. We're landing, and we're not crashing. I can't believe this. The plane's down. It's taxiing. We're turning. There is a pilot up there somewhere. We're not alone. You know what I'd like to do right now? I'd like to meet him, talk to him, tell him how good he was to get us down like this. Boy, were we ever trusting him. Someone we couldn't even see. I think he's really special.
One of the biggest tests we face about selfishness is when we are asked to help people in need. What do? Even when we give, we often give only a token and then turn away, feeling we've done all that is necessary. Jesus taught us to get out of our selfish ways and think of others.
When Jesus comes back to earth in his glory, and all the angels with him, then he will sit upon his throne of glory, and all the nations shall be gathered before him. And he will separate the people as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats, and place the sheep at his right hand and the goats at the left. Then Jesus will say to those at his right hand, "Come, blessed of my Father, into the kingdom prepared for you from the founding of the world. For I was hungry, and you fed me. I was thirsty, and you gave me water. I was a stranger, and you invited me into your homes. Naked, and you clothed me. Sick and in prison, and you visited me." And then these good people will reply, "Sir, when did we ever see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you anything to drink, or a stranger and help you, or naked and clothe you? When did we ever see you sick or in prison and visit you?" And Jesus, the King, will tell them, "When you did it to these, my brothers, you were doing it to me." And then he will turn to those on his left and say, "Away with you, you cursed ones, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his demons. For I was hungry, and you wouldn't feed me, thirsty, and you wouldn't give me anything to drink, a stranger, and you refused me hospitality, naked, and you wouldn't clothe me, sick and in prison, and you didn't visit me. When you refused to help the least of these, my brothers, you were refusing to help me."
Tough stuff. I'll be back to tell you how you can get your free survival kit after this break. We've been talking about selfishness today, the kind where we think only of our own good when we make choices. There are others to think about. Above all, there's God. What does He want us to do? The choices we make affect us here, but they also determine what happens to us after we die. Not only where we go, but the rewards we will get.
Hi, we'd love to hear from you at The Third Story. We'd like to know a little bit about you, who you are, and what you think about some of the things you've seen on the program. When you write to us, we'll send you a survival kit. It's free of charge. In it, you'll find a cartoon book with some stories from the programs, a book from the Bible, some cards you can send to your friends, and a colorful poster with some verses to think about. When you write to us, send your letter to The Third Story, Box 2, Station F, Winnipeg, Manitoba. That's The Third Story, Box 2, Station F, Winnipeg, Manitoba. We hope to hear from you real soon.
Thanks for taking the time to watch us today. We'd love to hear from you. Look for us again next week.
I are special, and we've got our special names. You and I are different, but we feel things much the same. You and I have moments we say life's a lousy game, and moments seem like hours when all you feel is pain. Help us helping each other, help us healing us, Lord. Help us love one another, help us say the right word. Give us strength for each other, give us strength for the load that we carry together along life's road. You and I get bruises and we get our broken bones. You and I get beaten trying to beat our broken home.